So monitor visit, remember, monitors have no interaction with patients at all, ever. So your only interaction with patients is looking at the source and looking at their medical records. So no, like the patients come in, they do their visits, regardless of whether a monitor comes. But monitors do come, usually every 8 weeks, to do the monitoring visit. Okay, so two very different things. Much better marker. Monitoring visit. So what else? What other things like that? You know, there's a lot of places where people can get confused in research because of the way things are worded. The words, we use the same word for one thing and another word for another thing.
Yeah.
When you've gone through this report, did you go through all of it? Did you do like all of it?
No.
No? Where did you get up to?
I was just different.
Oh, you were going back and forth, back and forth.
Okay, because I didn't understand it initially, but then I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The reg binder is what I have there, right? And the patient this. So.
What's another word for reg binder?
Reg binder and then.
Just so you don't get confused. Because they might ask you. There's a couple of...
different words for it.
Yeah, there's different words.
Regulatory binder.
So regulatory binder, reg binder. What about this? If I put the acronym, will you know? ISF.
ISF. Information.
Close. Investigator.
Investigation source. Go.
Investigator site file.
Site file.
That's another term for reg binder. It's the same.
So can I write?
Yes. Yeah. You keep that. And in the book you got, in this book, you have the report too. Like it's in there.
Oh, okay. So I don't need to take notes.
You can take it, yeah. But in the book you have a clean one.
Okay.
You can make copies of it. You can do whatever you want from it. So reg binder, investigator site file. Sometimes they're just referred to as regulatory. It's the same thing, okay? So what was your question about the regulatory?
I have not forgotten what I wanted to.
Okay. You were going through it? You were going through it and you found something?
Okay, I was going through it. My question is, when am I to be looking at it and the patient and the the patient
Source?
The source document at the same time? Oh,
No. Only that's a good question, actually. The answer is no, they're separate, okay? So there's only three things that monitors really look at, right? It's source, regulatory is the next one, and then investigational product. Okay. This is the only possible things a monitor can look at when they're at a site.
Okay, so
besides the site itself, you know,
okay.
they could see the site itself, like the equipment, the site SOPs, but it's still regulatory. And the investigational product, IP.
Okay.
IP. And we're going to get into later what IND means. Okay, so to answer your question, do you look at these at the same time? If it makes sense to do so. So usually no, but sometimes it makes sense to look at source and regulatory, or even source, regulatory, and IP all at the same time. There's a few cases, and it's actually a good topic because it kind of explains everything like in a good overview. So usually no, like a 1572 form, you'd look at a financial disclosure form. Those are typically regulatory documents, right? SUSAR reports. There are some cases where you will look at source and regulatory together. Okay, and it's typically, if in the regulatory binder, and in this example it would be IP, source, and regulatory all at once. Usually in the regulatory binder there's a master IP accountability log. Okay. While at the same time each subject has their own individual subject IP accountability log.
Okay.
So then it would make sense to look at that subject IP log while you're looking at the master IP accountability log, while you're looking at the actual IP, to make sure it's all consistent, it's all the same. Because the master IP log will have all the subjects and all the IPs on there. Each source will have its own individual subject. So then in that case it makes sense to look at both together.
Okay. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have given me this. Okay, whenever I'm going to a site, I will go with this.
Yeah,
Or
when you're
I get to
monitoring.
the site,
Yeah.
I will be given this for monitoring, or I will go with
No,
it.
you'll have it already. You'll have the
it
templates.
already. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I go in there, what should I begin with? To look at the source document or to look at the reg binder? Which one should I start from?
It depends on the monitoring plan that the CRO or the sponsor give you. It also depends on the situation. Okay, so there will be times when you go to a site and you know that they had a deviation.
Okay.
Like you'll know.
I will know beforehand. They will
Yeah.
inform me that they have deviation.
In those cases you might. Like the project manager may have been alerted about it, so you're aware of it. Okay? So you're not discovering a deviation, you are already aware before you go. In that case I would start with that first.
Okay.
Right? Typically you would look at deviation, do a training. If they haven't done a training yet, do a training of the site.
Okay, I'll train them about deviation.
About deviation, like how to comply with the protocol, right? You want to make sure that they've submitted everything to the IRB. You know, each time there's a deviation that impacts patient safety, the IRB needs to be notified.
Okay.
So you're going to make sure that the site's doing that, right? Other times you won't know there was a deviation. And you'll just discover it. If you're good, you'll discover it while you're monitoring.
Okay.
Right?
So if
And then you'll stop. In that case, you'll stop and you'll take care of that.
Okay.
Right?
So, but if I wasn't informed about the deviation and I go to the site, I will start with the reg binder or with the source document. Which one should I start from?
It depends on your preference and also depends on what the sponsor and CRO put in their monitoring plan.
Okay. And
If they give it up to you, the freedom,
okay.
then it's your preference.
Okay. But this is more or less what I will go with.
Yes. It might be formatted differently, maybe the order is different depending on CRO to CRO, but that's everything that is in an IMV, an interim monitoring visit, is going to be on that report.
So now I go to a site. I will first look at each chart or each binder,
Source,
so
yeah.
each source document, and then see if they really followed the decision. Then I will start filling this.
Correct, correct. And you have to remember, SDV, source data verification, and source data review. Okay. One, you're looking at the EDC to make sure it's the same as what's on the source. That's easy to do. SDR, you're looking for protocol compliance, you're looking for following GCP, you're making sure they're doing Alcoa-C, all those things. That's source data review. It's a more thorough, this is where the CRAs earn their paycheck. Because SDV is easy. You know, SDV, you don't need to even know the protocol to do SDV.
Okay, just to know if this what is in the source document is
Correct.
EGC. Okay.
Correct. The hard part is the SDR.
Which is source data review.
Yeah. Making sure it's protocol compliant, GCP compliant, Alcoa-C, guidelines, anything else that you find And then also looking at the regulatory, IP, doing IP accountability. Basically, it's the protocol. Is the site following the protocol? And sometimes there's other issues. Like earlier today, you were on a recruiting call with us, right? Where the monitor is asking us, "Hey, what's your strategy? You guys haven't screened anybody in 200 days. Why? How can we help?" Sometimes your job is going to be that. Sometimes the sponsor is going to tell you before you go to the site, "Hey, make sure you find out why they're not recruiting. We want to see it in your report. Why? Do they need resources? Do they need more budget? Are they just not? Do they not have the patience? What's the issue?" Sometimes that's going to be your focus. Other time, maybe there was a SAE at the site, right? Or what if there's an SAE that you discover while you're monitoring that the site never reported? But you see that it's a SAE, but no one knows, no one did anything. That's a deviation, that's a safety violation, that's IRB. The PI is not maintaining oversight of the patients. That's patient safety is at jeopardy. There's a lot to look at. All those things, like that report is everything that you need to look at, but within each of those sections, you can spend the entire day just on that, if the site's busy enough. If there's no source data to review, obviously you're not going to spend all day on that, but regulatory, if they keep adding new staff, or staff need to get trained, or protocol amendments, that's a big one, a protocol amendment. Each time a protocol is updated, the site has to be retrained on the new version of the protocol, the new informed consent form.
So the monitor that has to train them on the new?
Usually it's the site that needs to train themselves, but if they don't, then it's the monitor should do it.
Okay.
If you have time. Sometimes it's the priorities to do the source data verification, source data review.
Okay.
But sometimes if you have the time, and you have to follow the monitoring plan. Figure out what the sponsor wants from you for that visit, or your lead CRA. When you're a new CRA, your lead CRA is going to tell you what to focus on.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll even go with you for the first couple of visits to show you, hey, in this situation you want to focus on this. In this situation, it looks like retraining is needed. In this situation, they need a recruitment help.
Okay.
So you're kind of solving problems as a CRA. You're finding problems, hopefully not too many, but you're also solving the problems.
Okay.
And hopefully you're stopping the problems before they become big problems. Like maybe you stop one deviation and the site was unaware that that's a deviation, and now they won't repeat it in the future. So there's a lot. It's really stressful to be a monitor, which is why I recommend starting out as a coordinator first.
No, coordinator is easier.
It's easier. You don't have to travel. It's paid less, but most coordinators become monitors later, or they become site directors, or they even own their own site. There's a lot of places you can go after you're a coordinator.
Okay.
But I think the site level is the best starting point.
The site level.
The site. Yeah. Not the CRO, not the sponsor, the site. And the site could be a hospital.
Yeah.
Like where you are, it's the, what's the big one there? Emory. Right?
Those ones are employing people that have experience.
Not always. We've had a lot of students get in there.
Really?
But they're very specific job. Clinical document specialist.
Okay.
Trial master file specialist. You're learning everything. The reason we teach you everything is so you can know a lot about everything, and then if you get a specific job interview about, like, let's say just regulatory, well then you don't need to worry about source and IP. You focus, you can zoom in, but we're teaching you like a bird's eye view,
Okay, so
you know everything, right? But then every topic you can learn a lot more about it. Even me, like I can learn much more about just about everything. If I were to go work for like a hospital and they put me to do just SOP training, I don't do that much SOP training. I've written SOPs here, but like if that was the only thing I did every day, there would be so much more that they would expect me to do.
Yeah, and they will train you too.
They will, but I would know enough to do it well.
Of course.
So that's the goal. Like you need to learn enough to get started there, and the clinic is a good level. In-house CRA is good too, for the CRO.
In-house CRA.
In-house CRA, yeah.
Yeah,
So they're not the actual CRA, they help the CRA.
Oh.
But they don't go travel with them. They work at the office, they don't travel, and they help with filing documents that the CRAs collect from the site. Usually CRAs collect regulatory documents from the site. So whenever there's a change in a regulatory document, you'll see in the report, in the regulatory section, it asks, collect any updated regulatory forms. If there's been a new 1572, if there's been a new FDF, if there's been a new delegation log, someone new added to the delegation log, you're supposed to collect scans of all these things, send them to your lead. Your lead CRA then gives it to the in-house CRA, and the in-house CRA puts it in the trial master file.
Okay.
So there's people that do just that all day long.
Oh.
Documents. One of our students just got hired as a
those-
document
and
specialist.
is the sponsor and the what's it called? Then the CROs that are employ the in-house CRAs.
Yes, correct. And or if it's a big site like a hospital, sometimes they'll have their own document specialist too. Because in-house CRA is basically a document specialist.
Document specialist, okay.
And there's so many different
So all that
titles.
they will be doing is just looking at documents and
Filing. Filing electronically usually.
won't it be boring?
It could be, yeah. But that's typically a start for a CRA too. I know a lot of in-house CRAs that are now CRA. You have to start somewhere.
Sure.
You know, I think the best place is the site level.
Site level.
But I'm biased, obviously, because that's all I know from the site. I'm just now getting into CRO and CRA. But for 12 years, 14 years I've been at a site. So of course I'm going to say that's the best. But I mean, you can do it anywhere you like, you know. It just depends what
The
you
most
want to
surprising
do.
is for me just to let me get started somewhere.
Yes, because you want to be a CRA eventually.
Yeah, but even if I start from a smaller one, just gradually I'll get around.
And that's you learning the concepts. You know, source, regulatory, IP. That's it. These three things. If you know these three things, you know everything. Source, regulatory, investigational product. But there's a lot. I can talk about this for 3 hours, this for 3 hours, and this for 3 hours at least.
And they are in that book.
It has everything.
In that book.
And the 4-hour video I have too. Or there's like a 4.5-hour video
Where is the video?
on YouTube. It's if you go to my YouTube, it's right on the channel, like on the trailer. 4.5 hours. Explains everything.
And how do I have access to that?
Just go to YouTube, go to my channel, and you'll see it. It's there.
I don't know how to put your YouTube. So I will go to YouTube
Yeah.
and say what the
Look for Dan Sfera. Just put Dan Sfera.
transfer.
And you'll go to my channel.
Transfer is together or just two different ways?
You can put it either way. It will find it.
Transfer and then
And then on my channel itself, the first video you'll see is that one.
okay.
4.5 hours, I think. It explains every aspect, right? And the book too. You'll get a lot of value out of it. But if you know these three things, you can be a monitor, you can be a study coordinator, you can do anything in research with these three things. Source, regulatory, investigational product. Okay, I'm trying to think when else you can look at source and regulatory at the same time. I know. Informed consent log.
Okay.
Okay, that's usually in the regulatory binder. ICF log. It tracks not only which subjects signed what, but it tracks all the different amendments of the informed consents. Okay, so if subject 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, if there was amendment 1 of ICF, this one signed, on what date, Okay, then maybe amendment 2 comes out later. Well, now subject 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all sign it, but subject 1 has to sign that as well if he's still in the study.
Okay.
So this log tracks all this. And if there's ever an amendment 3, it needs to be tracked too. And if there's ever another patient, they need to be added as well.
And if they sign it, it will be filed in the ICF log.
The ICF log tracks who signed
Who
what.
signed and who didn't? Okay.
Who signed what on what date.
Mhm.
The actual document itself, the informed consent, is in the subject source binder.
Yeah.
So that's when you'll look at both together, source and regulatory. You'll take the regulatory, you'll go to the ICF log and the regulatory, you'll then look in each individual subject source
To be
and
sure.
see,
Yeah.
okay, did they sign? Oh, why are we missing number 6? Didn't sign amendment 2. Why? You know, and then maybe you find a deviation.
Okay.
So that's another example of when you look at both. Also SAE log. So SAE log is usually in the regulatory, like a master SAE log.
Mhm.
And then each subject source has a SAE log for the subject. Now, not every subject gonna have a SAE,
Yeah, definitely not all of it. No,
but if one does, you're gonna make sure it matches with what's on the SAE log.
Okay.
So you have both together, right? So there's a lot of cases where it makes sense to look at both at the same time, but usually they're separate.
Okay. Okay, like there where I check now, in the binder, there is no SAE. It shows that none of the subject has an SAE.
In the reg binder,
Yes.
and then in the source you saw
I
nothing.
didn't see anything.
Yeah. So then no SAEs.
And is it possible? No AE, no SAE, no.
No AE is very rare.
Okay.
I mean, I had an AE today. Like every day, I have a
But
AE
it's
could be
supposed
a
to be also
headache.
in the red binder, right?
Not an AE, just
okay.
a
Oh,
SAE.
SAE. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
AE is regular, you know,
Okay.
like if I have like a heartburn right now, it's AE.
Okay.
Like if I were in a study
Mhm.
and I told Kobe, hey Kobe, everything's good but my back hurts, you know.
Okay, that's
We
fine.
played too much cornhole outside, my back hurts. But if I'm in a study and I tell him that, that's an AE. Okay, but it's not a SAE.
Okay.
Now if I
Those
played
ones will
cornhole,
not be reported, but they can
Correct.
be recorded on the
recorded
source
source,
document.
recorded EDC.
Okay.
Now if I'm in a study and I play cornhole, again the same example,
Mhm.
with Kobe, and I throw it and I break my knee, and now I go in the emergency room,
That's the SAE, you know.
now it's a SAE.
Okay.
Okay, now that would go on the SAE log. That would, if I'm a patient, and then it would go in my source file.
Right, okay.
All right, and then the PI would have to say on the form,
Because-
on the initial and the follow-up SAE form.
Mhm.
There's an initial and a follow-up. As soon as the site finds out, they send an initial SAE to the IRB and the sponsor.
Okay.
When it's resolved, they send a follow-up SAE
Mhm.
report to the sponsor and the IRB. Does the PI think it was related to the study drug?
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Well, in a
no,
case like this,
it's not related.
you would think not, but what if the PI
Because of-
question and the drug somehow makes you dizzy,
Okay.
and I broke because I like passed out,
Okay.
but only the PI can make
Can
the
make that
determination.
assumption. Okay. All right.
Alright.
I now understand.
That's why everything needs to be documented. You can't assume. Even something as simple as like I broke my knee because I'm playing a game. It's not related, but what if
It was related because you felt not okay while playing
Yeah.
because of the drug itself.
That's right.
Okay.
Or what if the drug is known, and this is a real one, what if the drug is known to cause bone deterioration?
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm playing cornhole, and I break my knee. Well, now it might be due to the drug, right?
Yes.
And the PI needs to make that
Okay, so we
determination.
shouldn't take anything for granted.
No,
Yes,
no.
I now understand.
Yep, only the PI can make those determinations. Now, the sponsor, if each site is reporting everything properly, like SAEs, the sponsor is seeing all the data in real time from all the sites. So if they see, okay, this person broke his knee here, this person broke his elbow at that site, at another site this person broke his wrist, Now they're seeing, okay, well, maybe there's something else here.
There's something wrong with the drug.
You see? But if everyone assumes, oh, it's not a big deal, we're not going to report it,
Okay.
then nobody's reporting
yes.
anything because they're assuming it's nothing to do with it. Now when it's approved by the FDA,
People
and
will be
people are
telling
taking
this.
it,
Okay.
people who are not in a study are taking it and breaking their bones and say, nobody told me this is going to happen. And maybe you already have osteoporosis, now it makes it even worse.
I understand.
Right? This is why it's very important.
That everything should be well analyzed.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is why CRAs are hired, to make sure that you're educating the site. Hey, I understand you think this is not important, but we need to follow GCP and ALCOA. My job is to make sure as a CRA that you're reporting everything, even if you don't think it's important, it is. In research, everything's important.
Okay.
Very important stuff. And you'll be amazed how many drugs get approved and then SAEs start happening in real life that were never discovered in the studies.
Yeah, then it means that they were not effectively monitored.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And the FDA does not like that. And then they audit. And now they're holding the sponsors responsible. They're telling the sponsor, hey, I don't care who you hired as the CRA or the CRO. It's your responsibility to make sure.
They are doing their work, definitely.
And if the CRO is not doing it, you need to get rid of them. And do it yourself. And that's why now, a lot of CRAs, when they work for CROs, they're hired by the CRO, but the sponsor has to approve each CRA for their study.
Really?
Yeah. So just because you're hired for a CRO, that's fine. That's a good thing. But now the sponsors look
That's
at all
true.
your CV too. And
My
they read
goodness,
and
it's
they read
really
your report.
becoming more difficult.
And they read your report, all your reports. The sponsor reads it. And then it goes in the trial master file, which is the regulatory binder for the entire study, is a trial master file. It's that, what you saw, but from every site, put into an electronic system.
From every site.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
all
what
that
document
every
specialists do.
CRA does. Oh my God.
And that's what the in-house CRAs manage and file. And the reports. The monitoring reports get put in there too.
It's not an easy something.
That's why I'm telling you, like, the site level is the best. Because you're going to learn documentation, you're going to learn recruitment skills, you're going to learn everything.
Okay, I need to start looking for a site.
Or if you get an in-house CRA, it's good too.
Yeah, but
Anything to get started.
Mm.
And most sites need help with patient recruitment. Like you were in the call today with us. I mean, we haven't screened a subject in that study in 200 days.
Okay, so if a site like yours should hire me, my job will be to go to to the facilities.
Recruit patients.
First.
Yeah.
Go to facilities and talk to them about this and then ask them if they want to.
Yep. Or just, if they're not from facilities, in the community.
How do I go to community and say, when I see somebody, are you suffering from this? How do you do it? Huh?
Yeah. Or go to doctor's offices and tell them.
Okay, that we're hiring
Everything.
these studies.
Every strategy you can think of. Maybe manage people's ads. Craigslist. You can post an ad right now on Craigslist. You can post it. And say, I am recruiting patients for a diabetes study. Please email me. You're going to get, if you do that right now, by Monday you would get 20 people. Most of them are not good, but some might be qualified. And you can take that to a site near you and say, hey, I know you have a diabetes study. I have 2 patients already. I'm a patient recruiter. And you know how many patient recruiters start as patient recruiters and then become research assistant, research coordinator, in-house CRA, lead CRA. You can do so many things in this industry. You just need to start somewhere because it's all related. But you just have to get started somewhere. It's like a wheel with like spokes. Like it doesn't matter which one you start, like you can go to all of them. You just need to get on it.
different area one can start with. Is it in that your book?
Yeah.
You wrote it. What different area one can
Yeah.
start from? Okay.
Site sponsor or CRO or vendor, even like a, but that's more technical. Like you can work for a EDC company if you were good at computer programs. You know, you can work for Metadata or BioClinica, one of the big EDC, or like a TrawMaster file, or a SAE SUSAR reporting, which SUSAR is the on that report, on the monitoring report, the SUSAR, which is safety, is a SAE. It's called IND safety report. IND stands for investigational new drug. Remember when you were asking me that?
Yes,
What's
I
IND?
did.
The investigational new drug. So when and this is in the book too, when a sponsor wants to do a study, they can't just do, like, let's say I'm a sponsor. I'm a brand new sponsor, and I come up with a compound that I mixed, okay, and then I patent it, and now I can't just start doing a study. I have to get an IND permission from the FDA. It's called an investigational new drug.
Okay.
If I do one without this, it's illegal.
Okay.
Okay? Now, throughout the entire study, phase 1 through 3, okay, this is like 7 years of studies. The drug, the investigational product, has the IND. Okay? Once the last study, once I submit my phase 3 data to the FDA, and they approve it, they're going to give me, or I'm going to file for an NDA, new drug application. Okay, they can approve that or deny it based on the study results. But for the study purposes, it's IND, and the IND safety reports is the same thing as SUSAR reports. It's anything from any study that is known about that drug. They send the reports, the sponsor gathers all the data, like if there was a SAE in Arkansas, and there was another SAE here in Costa Mesa, and another one in Riverdale, okay, for the same IND, for the same license, no matter a different study, it could be a different study, but it's the same IND, okay, they send that report to all the sites participating in any study that's using this IND.
Okay.
Okay, so that everyone knows. A doctor in Chicago will read it and say, okay, somebody broke their knee, another one they broke their wrist. I gotta watch for my patients. Right, when they start complaining about being sore
I thought
or
that
something.
phase 1 to 3 is done with animals. I didn't know that phase 1 to 3 is also done
Human.
with humans.
Phase 1 is first in human,
Okay.
healthy volunteer usually. Animal is preclinical.
Okay, great.
They do the animal study before they file the IND.
Okay.
When they want to start testing on human, you need an IND. Or else you can't do it, unless something is like a supplement. Even then, I think you need to file an IND.
So when after the phase 3, then you go to NDA, and then NDA is how many phases? Just the 4th?
None. It's once you do the NDA, you're approved,
Oh.
or you're denied,
Right, okay.
and you have to go back. There is a phase 4 studies, and those are after the drug is already approved, and it's usually like a marketing study or like a health economic outcomes of the patient. Like the drug's already approved, you give it to people with asthma. Let's say it's for asthma. Now we're going to track how many days of work they missed last year because they're taking this drug. Like economic outcome, you know. But those are not real studies, but they're still studied. That's a phase 4. Right? But these are the ones you're going to be dealing with. And mostly 2 and 3. Because most CRAs, most coordinators don't deal with phase 1.
Okay.
Phase 1 are healthy volunteer, it's a very small market. Phase 2 and 3 is where most of our work comes from.
Okay.
Now cancer is a little bit different because in cancer you do phase 1 on cancer patient, not on healthy volunteer. But everything else, phase 1 healthy volunteer first.
Okay.
So that's the IND. It's the same thing. IND safety reports, when you see that, It's the same thing as the SUSAR reports.
Um,
Suspected, unexpected, serious adverse reactions.
You said for cancer patient, for cancer drugs, you can't have healthy this
They
investigation.
usually don't do healthy
Okay.
volunteer.
What about tumor?
Yeah, same thing.
It's under the
Yeah,
cancer. Oh.
yeah. But everything else, they need to have phase 1 healthy volunteer.
Okay.
What else? What else? That's a lot. We covered a lot. Source regulatory IP. That's it. It sounds easy. If you can think like systematically, like how do you organize it? You know, like you were doing today, like you did with Chris. Just put everything in order.
Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah, I have a
This
question.
is it. This is the only category.
I have a question. Like on this file, I saw some documents that we have December December 15. Wait, let me see. Okay, that we are filed. We are done in February 2nd.
Okay.
2017.
For the ICF, I remember that.
And then after it, you have another one dated 10th. Oh, no. Sorry, I'm telling you another one.
Well, that would be here.
Okay, yeah. You have one of March 12, 15. After that, you have 23rd of November 2015. And then you go back again to 25 November 2015. So it's not in a serial way. Is it that I think you're supposed to start, the oldest should be at the back, right?
Right.
But with this one, wasn't that way.
It's. I mean, you'll often find things misfiled.
They just mixed it up.
Yeah.
Many of them. Why?
You'll often find things misfiled.
So
The important thing is, did the patient actually sign it when they should have?
okay, so it doesn't matter whether they are misfiled.
Well, it's preferred not to.
Okay,
But it's
because
not
the
a
one I
huge
saw
issue.
over there in Chris' place were really filed.
Yeah.
This one was just like
All over the
up.
place. Yeah, and that happens when new coordinators come in. They try to file something where the old coordinator would have put it somewhere else. The new one puts it somewhere else. So now you have it. The important thing is, was it done? Can you confirm it like the ICF log?
Okay, all right.
Was it done? Can we confirm it with the actual ICF? The right amendment? Was the amendment approved? Did they initial in every
Those
page?
are what I shouldn't start refiling them for them. For you.
Some series do.
But you will have no much time to do that.
Right.
Okay.
What I would do if it was a problem, like if I was monitoring and that's become a problem, I would put it in my report and I would put it in my follow-up letter to the site. Remember, the sites don't see this.
Okay.
They see your follow-up letter.
Okay.
Okay, the FUL, follow-up letter. That comes after your report has been reviewed by your lead CRA and then approved by the sponsor. They have to approve it. Now, they don't usually just approve it. They usually have you ask questions about it, revisions. You revise it, then they'll approve it. Then your in-house CRA puts it in the trial master file, and now you have the permission, the green light, to send the site the follow-up letter. And the follow-up letter will have all the action items that they need to complete. And that would be one I would put in my action item. Please keep regulatory binder organized properly. CRA discovered numerous misfilings. Okay. And if that's not corrected, what do you do if that's not corrected? Even you putting it in your follow-up letter.
Oh, I will tell my lead.
Before you do that.
I will call the attention of the study coordinator.
That's right, but what can you actually do? Training.
Oh.
Training log.
Training law, but they should know how that it should be filed.
They should. And they
So
should also know
I'll
the
tell them that I
protocol.
want to train them on how to file this. Oh,
If it's
okay.
repeated one time, they don't do it the second time, they ignore you, I would train them the next time I'm there. Hey, I told you 3 times, it's documented. Okay, you still haven't done it. So now I'm going to sit all you guys down, whoever's in charge of this filing, and we're going to spend an hour to review exactly how these should be filed. I mean, that's like if you want to be really mean, but sometimes you got to do that, right?
Okay, and then if the source documents, like the what's it called now, informed consent form, which should be ICF, should be there should be initials and then there should be dates. What if the initials are not regular?
Like they put initial and then they skip a page and then
No, they
put
don't
initial?
skip a page. They still put initial, but maybe let me say they write I dot B, and then in another one they write I comma B, and then the other one they will write I V B.
Mm-hmm.
What will I do?
That's Alcoa, right? That's attributable.
Yeah.
I almost forgot there. Attributable.
Yes, attributable. But
So any person with common sense would know, okay, this is the same person.
mhm.
But remember, you're looking from like the perspective of an auditor. So you want to tell the site, I would tell the site, okay, I noticed inconsistencies on the patient initialing the informed consent form. I understand, human beings, they rush and sometimes it's hard to keep track. I need you to write a note to file that these are from the same person,
Okay.
and then file the note to file on top of the informed consent.
Oh, okay.
Alright? Just so we know if an auditor ever looks, there's no confusion. Right? If they continue to make these mistakes,
Will you train again for them?
train. You can train the site on anything you want, as long as it's appropriate. Like correct. You can't train them on something that's wrong.
Okay.
Then you get in big trouble. But if you're sure this is Alcoa GCP protocol and they're not following it, this is your thing.